Welcome everyone, this is On Just Restart. So what if I told you that there is going to be a brand new Donkey Kong game that is being made by one of Nintendo's top tier teams, and the goal is to revive the Donkey Kong franchise and bring it to a whole other level of popularity, something that is akin to how it was back on the Super Nintendo and N64. In other words, AAA Donkey Kong. A big deal, something that's comparable to Mario or Zelda in terms of popularity and appeal. What if Nintendo is actually doing something like this? Well, in truth, we've actually been sort of talking about this and hinting at this for some time already. Back in January, we were talking about this very rumor of the Super Mario Odyssey team making a new Donkey Kong game. There were some industry insiders talking about it at the time. However, at the time, the indications or the hints were that it was more along the lines of 2D, although not entirely certain. But it's been a while since then, and I've gotten some information from a few different places, some of which we will talk about today. And now, while it's not entirely certain what this Donkey Kong game is, it's been made more clear that this Donkey Kong game is going to be a big deal, and it's going to be very exciting. So we're talking about these rumors and potential leaks and what this may all mean for the future of Donkey Kong and the Mario Odyssey team. That's what we're focusing on today. Now before we jump into things, let me very quickly talk about my social media. You may see a few different things here on screen. You can check that all out. It is linked in the description below. And of course, if you like what you're seeing here, you can subscribe. So let me go over the initial rumor. A few months ago, there were a few different industry insiders on Reset Era that were talking about a Donkey Kong game happening. One of them is Nate Drake, also known as Nate the Hate on YouTube, and they were saying that a Donkey Kong game is happening, and they've been pretty consistent with that. Another industry insider, supposedly, Zippo, said similar things. But in the Reset Era forum, someone posed a question. So it's actually happening. After so long, the Kong is back with a new 3D adventure by the Odyssey team. To which Zippo responds, and not its 3D as far as I know. So at this point, while not concretely said or defined, it's been suggested that this Donkey Kong game is more along the lines of a 2D Donkey Kong game. And it made sense because a few months beforehand, back in 2020, we did see news that internal Nintendo was hiring for new 2D level design action games. All the information seemed to be coming together. So, what gives? Why are we talking about this again now? What has changed? Well, you've been watching some of my latest videos, you may have heard me talk about a leaker that I think is now becoming fairly prominent, Samus Hunter. And we've talked about in previous videos how this leaker has been showing to have a very strong track record. So I reached out to Samus Hunter on a couple of different things. We talked about Zelda a few days ago, but I also asked Samus Hunter about Donkey Kong. And this is what Samus Hunter said. Earlier this year I was able to find some information on many upcoming Nintendo projects, and Donkey Kong was one of them. Nintendo plans to revitalize the Donkey Kong IP with the goal of making it as popular again as it was in the SNES and N64 era. It's no coincidence that in addition to the game, Nintendo has plans for a DK-themed Super Nintendo World expansion, and the recent update to Diddy Kong's artwork is another step in making the characters more modern in their depiction. This new artwork though is mainly related to general marketing and is not something from the new game. At most they will use it in some spin-off. As for the game, it's a return to an in-house production under the guidance of the EPD Tokyo team, which is also one of the groups that controls the Mario brand. In the excerpts they talk about 3D environments, but it is not clear if they mean 3D as Mario Odyssey or designed in 2.5D as Tropical Freeze. So there's a few different things here. One, Nintendo has put out a new Diddy Kong render, so that has been circulating, and it is suggestive that there's some sort of marketing plan for the Donkey Kong franchise. But then also, yes, we know about plans for a Super Nintendo World expansion for Donkey Kong. Not Zelda, not Pokemon, not Animal Crossing, Donkey Kong. Of all the other prominent, popular Nintendo franchises they could have expanded to beyond Mario, the first one they're doing is Donkey Kong. I always found that peculiar, but that's things we've already discussed. Going beyond that, there are actually two takeaways from what Samus Hunter is saying here, I think. One, Nintendo plans to make this franchise prominent again. Not like Kirby or Fire Emblem, but perhaps bigger, similar to how it was back in the 90s. And if we sort of inflate that to Switch levels of popularity, then this is going to be huge. Donkey Kong could become one of Nintendo's big core franchises that they use more frequently, like Mario, like Zelda. That could be amazing. When you consider that Nintendo's also doing something special for Metroid here with Prime 4, it may be the case that Nintendo's trying to sort of create an environment where it's not just Mario and Zelda that we have to sort of wait for these big amazing adventure games. Metroid and Donkey Kong could become a part of those frequent entries, and that is very exciting. But the other takeaway here is that it's not a certainty what this Donkey Kong game is going to be. This game will apparently have 3D environments. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to be something like Mario Odyssey, where it's fully 3D with open sandbox environments to explore, because Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze was a side-scrolling game, but still with 3D environments in the background. There were moments in the game where you could jump into the background or the foreground. There was a 3D environment designed there, but for the most part you moved from left to right as a traditional side-scrolling game. So it could go either way. But when you factor in that the Mario Odyssey team is working on this project, and we haven't seen anything from them since 2017, it does make you wonder, what kind of game could they be putting together here? If it's just a side-scrolling game, is that really all they've been working on? That's a possibility that maybe this side-scrolling game just is that ambitious, even though it's just a side-scrolling game. It's also possible they may have multiple projects they're working on at once, and this side-scrolling Donkey Kong game is one of them. But there's another possibility here, as the title may suggest. What if this Donkey Kong game is more along the lines of a sequel to Super Mario Odyssey? Now, it may not be like a direct story sequel, even though I think that's a possibility considering the amount of Donkey Kong references in New Donk City for Mario Odyssey, but rather maybe more of a spiritual sequel or sequel in terms of gameplay. Because you look at that Odyssey engine, that is just a remarkable sort of setup they got there in terms of 3D platforming in the modern era. If they were to adapt that for a new Donkey Kong game, just how amazing could that be? It could be divine, I think. In the past, I've speculated and theorized about the potential of a Donkey Kong game using the Odyssey engine. Imagine if they were to adapt that game for Donkey Kong game, perhaps speed up Donkey Kong a little bit or make him hit a little bit harder, move with some more weight, and add a lot more acrobatic abilities, kind of like Tarzan. Imagine Donkey Kong sliding through tree branches and swinging through vines in a thick jungle. How amazing could that be? I think there's some very unique and exciting gameplay potential there, and that's potentially the direction they could be going with this. Potentially, not necessarily. Either way though, if it's actually the case that Nintendo wants to bring Donkey Kong to a greater level of prominence, similar to the way it was back in the 90s, but of course, let's also inflate that to Switch levels of popularity, this could be something huge. And if you consider how the different 3D Mario games are, they're never just entirely 3D. There's a lot of 2D sections thrown in as well. Considering the history of Donkey Kong, I absolutely believe there will be some 2D sections, because that's kind of what the Mario team does already. So if they are working on this, that's going to be an element for sure. But how much cooler would it be if it was more of a mix? It would just add to the variety of the gameplay, and I think would also strengthen my argument here, how from a gameplay perspective, this new Donkey Kong game could be more of a sequel to Mario Odyssey. Heck, we've even seen Bowser's Fury in 3D World. What if, they put that out there because there wasn't going to be a 3D Mario game coming out anytime soon because the team is working on Donkey Kong instead, but maybe some of the ideas they explored in Bowser's Fury could be being used in this new Donkey Kong game. When you think about it, I feel like it's kind of strange that we only got one 3D Donkey Kong game back on the N64. But I think the reason why is because that game saw a lot of criticism, and compared to Banjo-Kazooie and Mario 64, it just wasn't really considered that strong of a platformer. Nintendo ultimately decided that they should revive the Donkey Kong series with Retro Studios as a side-scrolling game years later, and that was great, but that was also safe. Nintendo may want to make something even bigger for the Donkey Kong franchise, and maybe that's why the Odyssey team is working on this now. If there's any team out there that can make a proper 3D platforming Donkey Kong game, or perhaps a mix or blend of 2D and 3D that could be successful to the levels of a Mario or a Zelda, it's the Mario Odyssey team. They could do it. They can make it work, and to me, if you want to get a game to be that prominent, it has to be a little bit more than just a side-scrolling Donkey Kong game. Not that I wouldn't love that, because I love the Donkey Kong Country series. But when you consider that this is coming from the Odyssey team and not Retro Studios, who's done a pretty good job with the Country games, it does make you wonder why they did the switch. Perhaps they want to do more than just the Country style of gameplay, which I do think strengthens the argument for more 3D elements in this Donkey Kong game. So for all of those reasons, I do feel like there's a decent chance that this Donkey Kong game could have some 3D gameplay elements going beyond just your 2.5D sort of side-scrolling like we saw with the Country games from Retro Studios. But that's just my speculation based off some rumors and things that have been going around. Regardless, I'll tell you that I've heard about this Donkey Kong game from multiple people, publicly and privately, so I definitely think it's real. I definitely think it's happening. We're not entirely sure what the gameplay will be, but regardless, I am very excited because that team has made some of the best games of all time, and I don't think they will fail with this one. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways, everyone, this is On Just Restart. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you all really soon. Take care. Bye.